It all started on a quiet Sunday morning, the kind of morning that whispers peace, until the shouting began. "Hey, you can't pick those!" A shrill voice cut through the still air. A small boy, no older than 10, froze mid-step, clutching a handful of white lilies. His eyes widened as the woman stormed toward him, her HOA badge gleaming on her chest like a symbol of authority. Her name was Karen, and around Maplewood Estates, that name carried weight, a mix of fear and frustration. Karen wasn't just a resident. She was the self-appointed enforcer of the neighborhood's rules. She knew every car, every hedge, every blade of grass that grew a little too tall. But today, she had found what she believed was her biggest offense yet. Boy vandalizing the community garden. "Put those down right now," she barked. "Those flowers are HOA property." The boy's small hands trembled. His voice came out soft and shaky. I just needed a few. They were my mom's favorite." Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "That's no excuse!" "Do you think you can just take what doesn't belong to you because you want to?" From across the street, neighbors peeked through their blinds. Some whispered, some shook their heads, but no one dared to step in. Karen's wrath was something no one wanted to face. The boy lowered his gaze, clutching the flowers to his chest. His eyes shimmered with tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered before running off. The flowers crushed against his heart. Karen huffed and turned back to admire her orderly garden, unaware that her outburst was about to ignite something far greater than she ever imagined. Later that day, an elderly man named Mr. Green, who often saw the boy visiting the garden, walked up to Karen. "You shouldn't have yelled at him," he said quietly. Karen frowned. "Excuse me?" "That boy," Mr. Green continued. "His mother passed away last year. Every Sunday, he picks flowers to lay on her grave." For a moment, Karen's confident expression faltered. But only for a moment. "That doesn't change the rules," she said stiffly, before walking away. "But the truth has a way of spreading, and by the next morning, the entire neighborhood would know what she'd done." By Monday morning, the story had spread through Maplewood Estates like wildfire. Everyone, from dog walkers to joggers, was whispering about Karen's outburst at the garden. "Did you hear what she did to that little boy? Unbelievable." Yelling at him for picking flowers for his mother's grave. Karen, however, strutted around the neighborhood as if nothing had happened. She waved at people, expecting her usual polite smiles. But this time, all she got were cold stares and tight-lipped nods. She noticed it quickly. People stopped greeting her. Neighbors turned away when she passed, and the air felt different. Still, she convinced herself, it was jealousy, that she was the only one who truly cared about the community's standards. But down the street, something else was brewing. That same boy, Eli, had been seen sitting by the park bench, quietly holding a small bouquet of wilted flowers. His eyes looked tired, his shoulders slumped. A woman named Martha, who lived 2 houses away from Karen, approached him gently. "Sweetheart," she said softly, kneeling beside him. "Those are beautiful flowers. Were they for your mom?" Eli nodded. "She liked lilies. I always pick some for her grave. I didn't mean to do anything bad." Martha's heart ached. "You didn't, honey. You were doing something kind." That evening, Martha posted a message on the neighborhood forum. "We all love the garden, but kindness matters more than rules." That little boy deserved compassion, not humiliation. Within hours, dozens of replies poured in. Neighbors expressing outrage, sympathy, and disappointment. Some shared their own stories about Karen's behavior. Others suggested holding a small community event to honor Eli's mother. When Karen saw the post, her face turned red with anger. "Defamation!" she shouted to herself. "All lies!" They don't understand the importance of discipline. But she underestimated just how deeply she had hurt the people around her. The next morning, a group of residents gathered near the same garden where the confrontation had happened. They planted new lilies, placing a small sign that read, "For all the mothers we miss." When Eli arrived and saw it, his eyes filled with tears, not from sadness but from something warmer. He whispered, "Thank you," to the smiling neighbors who surrounded him. From her window, Karen watched, arms crossed, her jaw tightening. For the first time she realized, control didn't always equal respect, and soon that lesson would come crashing down harder than she could imagine. By midweek, the HOA office was buzzing, and not in a good way. The incident between Karen and Eli had become the talk of the entire town. Even people outside Maplewood Estates were discussing it online, after someone shared the story on social media. Under the post, hundreds of comments appeared. "Unbelievable. How heartless can someone be? Poor kid. That woman needs to learn some empathy." Karen tried to ignore it all, but her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Neighbors who once supported her now avoided her altogether. Even Mr. Green, the elderly man who'd always defended her, refused to meet her eyes. At the next HOA meeting, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Normally, Karen led the meetings confidently. Papers neatly stacked, rules recited like scripture. But this time, the room was full and every eye was on her. The HOA president, Mrs. Turner, cleared her throat. "Karen," she began carefully, "we've had several complaints regarding your behavior toward a young resident." Karen straightened in her seat. "I was enforcing community rules. The boy was damaging property." Mrs. Turner folded her hands. "He was picking flowers for his late mother's grave." A hush fell over the room. Karen's lips parted, but no words came out. Someone from the back muttered, "Heartless." Another whispered, "She made a child cry." Karen slammed her folder shut. "This is ridiculous. Since when did emotions overrule rules?" Mrs. Turner looked at her sadly. "Since humanity started mattering more than pride, the board voted unanimously to suspend Karen's enforcement duties until further notice. She wasn't fired, but she was silenced. And for someone like her, that was worse. When she left the meeting, the same neighbors who once greeted her now stepped aside, giving her space, not out of respect, but out of quiet condemnation. That night, alone in her perfectly manicured home, Karen sat at her kitchen table, staring at a vase of flowers she'd bought from the store. They looked flawless but cold, artificial, soulless. Her mind drifted back to the look on Eli's face, the trembling hands, the sadness in his eyes, the crushed lilies clutched against his chest. For the first time, the image stung. The silence of her house pressed in on her. For all her rules and order, she suddenly realized she had nothing warm, nothing human left inside those walls. But fate wasn't done with her yet. The next morning, Karen would find something on her doorstep that would change everything. The next morning, Karen opened her front door and froze. There, on her porch, sat a small bouquet of fresh white lilies tied together with a blue ribbon. Beside it lay a folded note in a child's handwriting. "I picked these for you. I hope they make you smile. Eli." For a long moment, Karen couldn't move. The sun rose slowly over Maplewood Estates, its light falling gently across the flowers. They were the same kind she'd yelled at him for picking, the same kind he'd wanted to place on his mother's grave. Her throat tightened. She picked up the note, her hands trembling slightly. She sank onto the porch steps, staring at the delicate petals. They weren't just flowers anymore. They were forgiveness. Later that afternoon, Karen walked down the street toward the community garden. She saw neighbors talking, laughing softly and planting more lilies in the soil. Eli was there too, kneeling beside the flowers with careful hands. When he noticed her, he froze. The laughter around them faded. Everyone waited, unsure what she would do. Karen took a deep breath, then knelt beside the boy. "Eli," she said quietly, her voice unsteady, "I owe you an apology. I was wrong. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Your mom must have been a wonderful person." Eli looked up, surprised. "She was," he said softly. "She liked flowers because, she said, they remind us that even short lives can be beautiful." Karen's eyes glistened. "She was right," she whispered. Then, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small gardening trowel. "May I help you plant these?" Eli smiled, and for the first time, the neighbors saw something they'd never seen in Karen before. Humility. Together, they planted the lilies in silence. The gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers through the air, mingling with something deeper, peace. When they finished, Karen stood and looked around at the neighbors watching her. "I forgot what this place was really about," she said, her voice clear but soft. "It's not the rules that make a community, it's the people." Mrs. Turner nodded approvingly. "Welcome back, Karen." The tension that had shadowed Maplewood Estates slowly began to lift. The garden, once just a patch of land bound by regulations, had become a symbol of unity and healing. As the sun set, Eli placed one last flower at the center of the garden. "For Mom," he whispered. Karen smiled faintly. "And for second chances," she added. "Sometimes it takes the smallest act of kindness to remind us how to be human again." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss more powerful stories like this one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were there that day?